What an incredible platform you've made, Dilan.
No one is available 24/7. And sometimes people don't want to talk to other people. Sometimes you just, especially blokes.
You weren't in a good place, were you, mentally?
I was in a situation that was very, very negative, very, very toxic.
Overweight, feeling drained, emotionally in a different place.
I had a choice, and we all had that choice.
He's a mindset coach with 442,000 followers. He's an entrepreneur, he's a model. As if that's not enough, he's developed an AI platform. It's called AI Dilan.
You can talk to it like you're talking to me. It's framed with 411,000 words of how I think. I then trained that knowledge base. So if you talk to it, ask it a question, and it will respond like me.
You're going to live demo it?
I can do, yeah.
Wow.
How can I help?
Hi, I'm feeling low. I'm feeling down. It's 2:00 in the morning. I don't feel great. I'm having some really dark thoughts. Can you help me just in this moment?
I hear you. Those voices can feel relentless, but they're not you. They're just noise.
Listening to that, boy oh boy, because for me, in that dark space, I had no one to turn to, or at least I didn't think I did. This is going to help people and is helping people. I just wish. Because those that don't know my story, I attempted suicide, and I really had a serious attempt, and I'm very blessed to be here. Welcome, Dilan.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I think you look incredible, by the way, today.
Thank you very much.
You are covered in as much as, for those listening on audio, he's not sitting here in the buff. But if you go on his socials, you'll see what an incredible transformation it's been. And you shed 27 kilos, didn't you? It's about 60 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
But whilst it started with fat to fit, and that's a phrase I take from you on your website. So anybody who's offended by that term, I'm sorry, but that's a fact. But it wasn't just your body, was it? It was your mind. Can you take us back to that part where before you were ripped with a six-pack and looking fucking awesome and being in a very, very good place mentally, can you take us back there, Dilan, to the old version of you? May I refer to it as that?
Yeah, sure.
The old you. Overweight, feeling drained, feeling emotionally very, very in a different place. Can you take us there and explain what was happening in your life then?
It was a bad relationship I was in, a toxic relationship, ultimately, when I reflect back. And that was a culmination of a number of years in a relationship that didn't really work, wasn't working, tried to make it work, did everything to try and make it work, and it just wasn't. And so the low point was a breakup. And in that breakup, there's one or two ways you can go with that, right? You can spiral down, or you can choose something different. And in my case, especially, the career that I was in at the time was in the City of London, so a trader in banking on a trading floor. And you can only imagine the types of influences that are potentially at your fingertips should you want them, and you can spiral towards that, as most people do, or a lot of people do.
If anybody who's trying to imagine, are we talking alcohol, drugs, that type of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it sounds like I'm trying to avert saying swear words, but no, that's the fact of life, right? There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's lots of intoxicating avenues that one can go down if they don't feel great, and they're available to anyone, anywhere, but even more prevalent in the City of London, within trading, within banking, within,
lots of other sectors as well. Let's be fair.
Yeah, sure.
And also let's just balance that scale a little bit, because even if you're not feeling low, some people turn to it just because they need that energy, or they start to get addicted to it.
Yeah.
So but you didn't go there, did you?
No, I had a choice, and we all had that choice. And I didn't want to. I think I was very much aware of the fact that the person who I was breaking up with, I know she wanted me to go the wrong way.
It sort of suggests to me, I don't know this person, the pod that I produce, So What's Your Story? We've had specialists on, we've had narcissistic abuse and trauma specialist doctors, we've had people who have been exposed to narcissistic abuse. It sounds to me, maybe I'm making a presumption, that this person was or had or has narcissistic tendencies, because to start to punish somebody that you love or did love, whichever way you look at it, isn't actually normal. So, it's a trait of something that's psychologically wrong. Not necessarily narcissistic, because that's a tag that some people don't like, and it is bandied around a lot now. I think way too much. But there are things that you've described to me out of the studio and that is in the public domain that sort of suggest that you were subjected. You mentioned the word toxic. It was damaging, wasn't it?
For sure. Yeah. And the irony of that is I was being made out to be the narcissistic one.
Though that's what they do.
Yes, exactly. And it was only years afterwards when I reflected back that I clearly, the way that she behaved demonstrated the fact that she was actually the toxic narcissistic one. So most definitely I was in a situation that was very, very negative, very, very toxic. I married a gold digger. That's what happened. And so it then got to the point whereby it was an epiphany at the moment of actually separating, where I realized that in that moment she wanted me to then act badly, which would then serve in her favor. And
of course,
in that moment, I made the decision in that moment, and it was a choice that I made that each of us have the power to make. I chose, because of that epiphany in that moment, to not behave badly, to do the polar opposite. And that was the start of my journey.
It takes a big person, and it takes a brave person, and it takes a lot of courage. Even though I said brave, it's a different thing to not react, to not bite, to not start pointing the finger and going toe to toe. It's difficult, Dylan. But you were, of course, traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
You were affected. Your esteem was battered.
Still am.
Do you believe you are?
Yeah, I think these things. I think trauma comes in lots of different forms, and I don't think you get over it. I think you learn to deal with it better as you go along, and so that's what I'll say about it. I don't think there's always going to be traits of incidences that happen in one's past or that will reflect back, or even walking here. There's a couple of places that I remember we went together.
So it triggered.
So then you were called back. And so
yeah, it's like anything, isn't it? It's like a piece of food. It can take you back to your childhood. A tune can take you somewhere in the past.
Correct. The key is understanding and learning the skill sets, and this is what I am very proud of myself in my journey, is learning the skill sets to be able to respond with the way I want to, as opposed to the way that she might want me to. And I think that is something that I work on every single day. And that bit is the powerful bit, is understanding understanding that the response to any situation is within my power.
It's so true. Mel Robbins has the well-publicized book right now, and my former guest just a few weeks ago, Annalie Howling. That episode isn't out yet, but stay tuned. Unapologetic, Release the Shackles. Yeah. Because it's like we can choose how we react, can't we? So we can choose let them, is obviously Mel's theory, philosophy. But it's let me. If you read the book, it's let me as well. Let me choose how to respond. And that is something we all have. We don't always get it all right, do we? And you're human, right? So you are going to make the occasional error, I'm sure, not necessarily in this,
for sure.
There must be instances where you go, fucking hell, come on, move out of the way. Or it's like, come on, I need to be somewhere. There must be something. You're not a Buddhist,
absolutely.
Buddhist
most definitely. Most definitely. And I think if anything, those situations, then you need those situations to then become aware of the fact that you acted like that, so that then you can work on not acting like that in the next instance. And I think you talk about Mel Robbins, you talk about that philosophy, let them. and but actually it being about let me choose how I act. But actually it's a philosophy from over 2,500 years ago from Buddhism.
Buddhism,
Yeah.
Or Stoic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's based on there's a story that my parents told me when I was a child. I forgot about, but it's for whatever reason it stuck with me. But it was about the Lord Buddha and how back 2,500 years ago, when he started practicing Buddhism and then teaching Buddhism, he started to get more and more people within India following his teachings. And there was a lot of anger towards him because the incumbent religion, everyone in India just followed one religion, and they all did one thing and the same thing and one set of teachings. And as Lord Buddha came along and started became enlightened and started teaching what he had learned and was thinking, more and more people started to follow him, and people from the incumbent religion became angry with him because they didn't like it. They were like, "There's this change, this new thinking," and people didn't like it.
Change.
It's changed. Like, and we still 2,500 years later, people still don't like change. They fear change and they hate change. And then there's antagonism because of change. So we haven't actually evolved that much. If you think about it from a human state,
Fair
right?
point.
So when you go back to Lord Buddha, when he was teaching these things, there was a lot of anger towards him. People didn't like, but more and more people started to follow him. I call him the original Instagrammer, the manual Instagrammer, right? He just got more and more followers. And so one day, Lord Buddha's under the Bo tree, meditating calmly as he did, and this young man comes rushing up to him, screaming at him, like running towards, "You're fake, you're a criminal, you're a fraud, you're a liar, you're all of these things," like screaming at him. And Lord Buddha opens his eyes and and asks the young man, "If you were to give me a present and I don't accept it, who does the present belong to?" And the young man goes, I was like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, like, he's screaming at this Lord Buddha saying, "You're a criminal." I'm like, the confused young man's like, "What's this ridiculous question?" And the young man goes, "Well, I guess the gift is mine, stays as mine." And Lord Buddha says to him, "The same with your anger."
Wow. That is powerful.
So Lord Buddha chose how to respond. If he had shouted back at the young man would have been controlling him because he would have been triggered by the young man to shout back, which is what we normally do, which is what the masses do, including me. That's what I used to do. I used to like scream back, not scream back, but like I'd certainly tell you what I think out loud.
Because none of it, it's a natural response.
Yeah.
We don't like being attacked.
Correct.
Whether it's verbally, physically, whatever.
Right.
Yeah?
So you attack back. And
so you either completely retreat and give up and sort of curl up and let the abuse come to you, or you try and give a bit back.
Correct. And that's what actually they want you to do. So in the moment of separation, with 2 suitcases in my hand, my backpack, and leaving this arguably my place behind, that epiphany occurred.
Wow.
And so for the entire time after that, I was like this, which I think completely confused her.
It would do.
She didn't get it at all.
Yeah, it would do. Because I mean, it comes into then grey rock areas and things. And this is something that a former guest, Dr. Alina Kastner, we've just actually released a piece on our YouTube channel to understand grey rock techniques. But there is a danger, because when we just switch off and we don't react, we can antagonize more coming at us. Anyway, so you obviously at that time, whilst you'd got this epiphany, this light bulb moment of I'm not gonna rise to this. I'm gonna choose how I react. You were still, and you say to this day, traumatized, affected. You're also carrying a bit more pudding than you are now, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Quite a bit, 27 kilos, right? So what happened, Dilan? Because was it another moment of you to say, were you looking in the mirror? Were you not liking yourself? Were you thinking ill things of yourself? What led you to take that first step over the doorway into a gym to then start to use that as your daily routine to not just shed some weight and look amazing like you do today, but also to do something with your mental attitude?
So there's all of the above, but I think when you go through those types of situations, or traumatic situations, or big situations, and everyone has different situations going on in their lives, even though you choose how to respond, as you say, there's still the energy from that event that is with you. And it has to come out.
Yeah, there's also the inner self-talk, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. And all of these things, the inner self-talk can be triggered by what's happening to you. And what's happening in that situation is meant to trigger anger, fear, sadness, frustration, all the negatives, right? But the way I look at it is that, that has to go somewhere. Something has to happen with that. And typically the standard response is to shout back and scream back and behave badly and do all the things that anger typically makes people do. But the way I started to look at it is that it's all energy.
That's a quick question. When I look at your social, I see this very positive, confident, not just body confident, mind. Would you describe yourself as an extrovert or an introvert?
I wouldn't say I'm an extrovert.
I don't think you are you? You're a bit of a hybrid, maybe.
There's definitely times where I'm happy to just be by myself. I'll happily just be on my own, travel on my own, do my own thing.
You're definitely an empath, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess I do definitely feel a lot of stuff. Yeah, for sure.
There's a reason why I ask you that, because extroverts tend to have, particularly male, a lot of bravado. So it's like, fuck it. She's fucking, yeah, she's gone. Who gives a shit? Yeah, I'm gone. Yeah, don't matter. You know, empaths, introverts tend to let it fester a little bit and feel the pain more internally, which then can lead to mental health issues, which can then lead to this downward spiral. And why I'm asking you that is not to analyze you. I'm not a therapist. Yeah. But, I'm an observer of people all my life. I like to think I've got a good take, but I've had my own mental health issues. As you know, we've spoken about it. They were tragic. I got to a darkest place in my life. I didn't ever think I'd get there because I'm an extrovert. How can that happen to me? Confident, successful, fucking hell. Yeah, right. That means jack shit when this starts talking badly to you. What was happening then, Dylan? Because you said you feel things. You weren't in a good place, were you, mentally?
No. So I think that, as I say, I started to realize that, as I say, I look at things and I see things and I believe that everything is energy. And so pain, frustration, sadness, all the negatives, all of these things is energy in the same way that you could argue happiness, joyful, all the positive things are. It's energy. So it's a case of how do you want to use that energy? So I could use that anger, energy from anger and be angry, or I could take that energy that's just been triggered because of whatever's happened, and I could rechannel it into boxing at the gym, or I could rechannel it into being creative through photography, videography, and writing, which is what my social media is from. I was never allowed on social media before. My ex, she didn't like me on social media. I never had an Instagram account. I actually didn't even know how to post on Instagram.
Fuck. Right. So and the reasons were because she felt, or let me let you tell the story. There was an implied, well, it's more than implied. She thought she didn't want me on social media because she thought I might meet other women. And yeah, well, it's a control thing then, isn't it?
So she was like, you don't, and I didn't really care about being on social media, quite honestly. I was working in a bank, working on a trading floor. You're working 12, 15 hours a day, right? So I didn't really care, but that was the reason why. But when we broke up, I was like, I need to reinvent myself. And I was like, what one way could I do that? I wanted to be creative again. I didn't want to necessarily, I used to do sculpture. Sculpture was a thing that I used to do, but I used to make things. I used to love making things. And so it was like, was that relevant to me now? Is that practical? No, it's not. And then I happened upon Instagram and I was on holiday and actually a kid set my Instagram account up totally by accident. I didn't know how, and I was on a holiday literally the week later. They were taking pictures of some guests, of which they asked me to be one. And I was like, oh, great, I can get some nice pictures for Instagram. And they gave me the pictures. And I was like, great, how do I put this onto here? I literally didn't know how to.
Wow.
And I had to go to reception at the hotel in Mexico and say, could you
Really?
could you
So you were
show
totally green on
no,
social.
they sent me photos on email, and I was like, I don't know how to put it on here. It's like, I went to the receptionist and can you show me, like, how do you do this? And
Right.
they
And
looked at me as if I was,
and let's just remind ourselves, 442,000 followers, and his reels get hundreds of thousands of views sometimes, more than that, right? So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because then this started to become a platform for you to express yourself. And as you did that, you were finding, oh, wow, people are actually paying attention, because you, again, get on Dilan Social because it's so authentic. I'm going to ask you during this interview actually about that. We're going to lead up to that, because you are, I mean, you're so transparent.
without details. If that makes sense.
Well, that, yeah. But
I don't name people.
You don't name people. You
yeah.
don't know. You don't do any of that. But you put yourself under the microscope.
Yeah.
You do. And we're going to talk about trolls and things like that, because I'm sure you've had them. But, so again, I just want to go through this journey, because I don't want to jump too far forward, because it's really important, I think, for everybody to understand what you were subjected to. We get that, right? And I know it's really, we could probably do a whole episode on that, but we're not going to, because we've got a lot to cover. You were clearly traumatized. You turn to the gym. You start to then channel this energy back into a positive for you. Release the trauma is what you're saying, or what I'm hearing. And you were channeling that, and it was starting to make you feel better. But was there moments where you thought to yourself, or let me ask you, what was the biggest habit? Because you train most days, or you do something. If you're not in the gym, you're doing something positive for yourself, and you're a mindset coach and yada, yada, yada. What was the biggest habit that you knew back then you needed to change 100%?
It was really taking control of my thoughts.
Was it?
It's a key. Mindset is everything. It's a key to all of it.
But how did you do it? Because, like, people are going to be listening to this and going, yeah, that's fine, but I'm in a dark place. I'm coming out of a shit relationship. I'm being abused, or maybe not. I've just lost my job, or whatever. Might be financially stretched, or I'm overweight, or whatever it might be. How do you talk to yourself in a kind way, instead of allowing that to overwhelm you, the dark, the negative, the self-hatred?
You focus on now, this present moment. You stop and you just focus on this moment, understanding that is all we have.
You see, when the Buddhist monks, refer to this, you mentioned Buddha, and also mindfulness is a practice where the ultimate goal is to get to now. No other thoughts, just now. Animals, a lot of them live binary. They're in the now. So whilst they'll remember things from the past, and you can teach them to do things, that they actually are in the now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible, but it's hard, isn't it?
That's the general human narrative. We make it complicated. Humans make life very complicated. So it's difficult if we choose to believe it's difficult. It's straightforward if we choose to believe it's straightforward. So back to it being your choice and the power of that choice in your hands, it's up to you as to whether you think it's difficult or not. That doesn't take away from people being in situations that are desperately, not nice. I'm not in any way, shape, or I understand that because I've been there. But it's genuinely a choice that we all have. Society most definitely has made us think that it's really difficult, to think that it's really hard, to think that it's super complicated, to think and make us feel like this is impossible, but it isn't.
So we could relate that to your weight loss, couldn't we?
Yeah.
27 kilos, 60 pounds, negative mindset, or elements of negative to get negativity creeping in. So would it be fair to say that you kind of, because you didn't go from where you were to now like that, did you?
No.
So you crawl, walk, run, right? So because then you are, as your mind is becoming stronger, would you say that that was in correlation with your weight loss and your body as well? Because the reason I ask that is physicality is one thing, right? How we look is one thing. There's plenty of people out there, even people in the public eye right now, that I could trip off the top of my tongue. Surprisingly, I've sat on podcasts, or it's come out later on, that they've been in really dark places in their head. So they may look amazing, attractive, great body, clothes, house, relationship, not happy. So for you, was it as your body was transforming, did you find your mind was becoming healthier as well? Was there a link?
There's definitely a correlation, without a doubt. And by no means does it mean that, if you're in great shape, that means your life is perfect and you're happy. Not at all. I actually think that I go to the gym more now to help me calm my mind than I do to get jacked. So I would say it's really about, it's more about helping me calm my mind than it is anything else. In terms of losing weight, that's diet. That's really I used to live on Cadbury's chocolate and Red Bull.
Other brands and other energy drinks are just as good. I just want to throw that in.
Okay.
Yeah. So your diet was. So I mean, look, I've read, I've had it advised that going to the gym's one thing, but like you say, 80% of what you do is outside the gym.
Yeah.
So you come out the gym, start eating shit.
Waste of time.
Waste of time. Yeah, you can pound the hours in the gym. You're going to get small gains, but not huge. So you changed your diet. You changed. Right.
Change diet, way of thinking, lifestyle, went to the gym like consistently. Again, I think also the discipline side of it is absolutely key. Creating really good habits, and that requires you being disciplined and pushing yourself to go when your mind says, go home or sit on the couch or have the chocolate or whatever it might be. It's about then saying no to your mind or that voice in your head that says, do the things that are easier. And the more you say no to that voice in your head that says, do the thing that's easier, the quieter it gets. And doing that consistently over a period of time, now I routinely go to the gym even when I don't want to, just because it's on autopilot, like waking up in the morning and brushing my teeth or having breakfast or it might be. And that's the place that I work towards maintaining.
Yeah. And you spoke about the positive and negative, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same way that somebody gets up in the morning and has a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
Choice.
It is a choice.
But then it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a routine.
Yeah.
Getting up in the morning, I'm having my coffee, I'm gonna have a fag. You choose to go to the gym.
Correct. And it's very difficult to then undo those habits. But yes, like having a cigarette, having a drink,
doing
addicts,
a Coke,
whatever it might be,
yeah.
You do it enough times, you become an addict. Yes. Either way, whatever you do.
Good point. Yeah. So you can choose happy thoughts.
You can choose heroin, or you can choose going to the gym or protein shake. You can choose.
Yeah.
And at some point, either or you do it consistently over a period of time, they both become a habit.
Yeah. You're a bright guy. We haven't spoken about your career much before what you do now. You're in the city, you're in banking. There's some controversy to this story. And if it's okay with you, Dylan, I'm not comfortable going too deep into that, because we would have to name certain big organizations that might get a little bit arsey and start putting legal stuff on us. So there is an element that we can brush over. You're in the city, you're in banking, you're a trader, you're very, very good at your job. You're super, super bright. I didn't speak about your qualifications, but you've got qualifications as long as my arm. You're an intelligent man. But it all changed, didn't it? Because you sort of, there was comments being made about what you were doing personally that wasn't aligned with the corporate line. Let's say no more than that. And you again took a moral and ethics stance on that and said, no, good for you. Because it would be easy for a lot of people, or easier for a lot of people, to say, well, I've got a good career, I'm getting some good money, Yeah, okay, then I'll shut my socials down then. But you didn't want to, did you? Because there was not just you benefiting from this, was there? And, you have a huge following now, and it keeps going up and up and up and up. We're going to touch on the other areas as we go through this story, of course, but you were helping other people, weren't you? One of your, I'm looking for it, one of your quotes off of your website, which is really interesting, I'll find it in a minute, is about helping other people. We're kind to ourselves, we be kind to other people kind of philosophy. I'm paraphrasing. There's a line, I picked it up on your website.
We rise by lifting others.
There we go. Thank you. We rise by lifting others. And as your social started to grow, by your own confession, didn't even know how to put a picture on there, right? And then you got pretty savvy. And then you just started telling your story. Here I am now, and you are photographically very, very sharp. You know how to capture an image correctly. You understand lighting. You've done some sculpting. You're creative. I've seen some of the words you write as well. Beautiful words. But people started to benefit, didn't they? They were like, this is why I think, well, we know the numbers started to escalate at a crazy rate, because people were relating to your story and you were telling your story online. But does it not feel awkward sometimes, Dylan, that you are so exposed online? You're often or daily under the microscope, really, social media microscope. Does that not make you feel uneasy sometimes? I know you said you don't put personal things on there. You don't say, you're very clever actually, the way you do it. But does it ever make you think, 500,000 people looking at me?
No. Because if I was doing something that wasn't authentic and I didn't want to talk about it, the whole premise of my social media and me writing is to help other people. It's having a positive impact. I found ways to help me help myself. Maybe these coping mechanisms might also help one other person. And so that is the driving force behind why I do that. And so I know why I put my posts out there and my writing out there, and why I talk about the topics that I talk about, because I'm trying to help other people. And so if someone comes at me about something I've written, then I know where I'm coming from to be able to then instantly respond. And in that regard, no, I'm not. In fact, I want more people to hear the message, read the message, because maybe it might help them, or maybe they might know someone who it might help.
What about trolls?
Yeah, I mean, it says more about them than it does about me.
It's going back to that thing, isn't it?
It's more about them, and that's like, okay, you want to give me hate? Okay. I've had it lots. You're a narcissist. You're this. You're that. You're vain. You're an embarrassment. You're this. You're that. All of it. All of it. Like I was told to shut my previous firm. I'll say I have no problem saying it. It's fact. They told me to shut it down. They never dealt with someone in banking who had a social media platform account, Instagram account that had gone viral or got into the press. That's really what the turning point was. And I did not speak to the press. Some journalists had written about and that's where the numbers went up, started to go up, because then there were lots of other articles that were written.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest problem with my social media. It got into the press. Again, we're not allowed to talk to journalists. I wasn't allowed. I did not. Someone had just written something comparing me at the bank I was at and somebody else at another bank, and put the two together. And there was an article in eFinancials that had nothing to do with the companies that either of us work for, just comparing two Instagram accounts. And there were 6 global conference calls about my Instagram account.
Fucking hell.
At the firm that I was at.
Ridiculous.
Which they all concluded I've done nothing wrong. They would have preferred me to shut it down, but that was the first time in my career that I was like, I did not listen to the authorities within my bosses or my management or whatever. I was like, no, for the first time, I'm not going to do what you're telling me to do, because this is helping me. You're not with me at 2:00 in the morning when I'm crying my eyes out because I feel my life is over. But this is helping me. This is a coping mechanism. Therefore, I have to keep doing this, because it's not just for me, but maybe it might help other people as well. And so that was the first time I said no to them in my entire career. And that, I think I still remember that. I remember the line that I said, like, it was a manager director told me around, like, on a trading desk, like, you should just maybe shut it down. And like several other people said it as well in different points. And I just remember thinking, and like a couple of people were laughing. I was like, I remember turning around to them and saying, you know what, you all laugh at me because I'm different. I look at you and laugh because you're all the same, because they all just did what they were told. And I did as well to a point, but when I reflect back, I think that's also something that was an underlying frustration that I couldn't properly put my finger on. So, and I think that was, I was the number one producer on that desk, my net numbers. So, but there was always an incongruency.
Yeah, I hear you. It's you're referring to people pleasing, really. When we're doing what we're told to do, we're conforming. But there's an element of people pleasing, and especially in a working environment, you can't break rules, and rules are there.
Absolutely.
But this was something in your personal life which
Correct.
wasn't related to the institution you were
Correct.
working for, the company you're working for. Sorry, so it's a bit brutal to say, right, we're going to cross a line now. We're going to come into your personal life, and we're going to say, I think you should just shut that down. and good for you.
And they all backed off very, very quickly because they realized, oh, we've just overstepped. Because they never dealt with this before, right? Bankers don't have Instagram accounts that get into the press. They'd never had that before. No, and then subsequently, a number of different trainings that came out about social media.
Really?
Fully triggered off of the back of what?
Guidelines.
Yeah.
Can you sign this, please? Yeah. So you mentioned there, because look, you tutored under various forms, but you actually studied with Jay Shetty as well at some point and did his coaching program. You're a mindset coach. You model online. You're an ambassador for brands. You are an influencer. I know you don't like that word, but you've also created something. It's called AI Dilan. And you just, as we were talking then, you said about the times where at 2 a.m, crying your eyes out, journaling, not feeling great. Was that the birth of AI Dilan? Was that the point where you thought, I wish I could just talk to someone now? I wish I could just confide in somebody I can trust, someone who is not going to judge me. Because AI Dilan, tell us about AI Dilan. And was it in those moments that you started to create AI Dilan?
No, it was in the gym in Bali doing bicep curls.
There you go.
That's when the idea of AI Dilan was born.
I was trying to read it. I was like, I thought I'd created a lovely narrative there, but how fucking wrong I was.
But it was about helping people at 2 o'clock in the morning when they don't want to talk to anyone else, or they can't talk to anyone else, or they can't access anyone else. It was about that, reflecting back to those moments. Like if I was back in that moment, like, what would someone who I follow or someone who I rate say, who isn't up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but that I would really like to know what they would say in this situation to me.
I love that.
That's what it was about. That's what it reflected back to. So that you had, there was all this stuff. I was like writing on social media to help other people. Then I was, learning to become a life coach through Jay Shetty's life coaching program. And then I was in this environment trying to exit where I was and go to another place. I was in a long period between the two where I couldn't actually go and work at a competing bank. So I basically used that time to go and learn other stuff. And it was a very unique situation. And in that time, I also thought, well, if I was going to make this a business, how could I scale this? There's only so much you can do one-on-one. Yeah. How could you then scale this beyond that would reflect how I think? And that's where I thought of creating a digital version of myself using AI, and then learning how to train generative AI to mimic me, so that if someone were to ask something, it would give a response the way that I would if we were talking one-on-one.
And I've seen your AI demoed live. It's freaking phenomenal. So explain to us how AI Dylan sits now, if I was so let's imagine I'm not feeling great, right? I've decided to, and I don't know how the commercials work. I don't know about you, so but let's say I've got AI Dylan, access to AI Dylan. That's the best way of saying it. Talk us through what I can do with AI Dylan, because it is so freaking cool, right?
Thank you. You can talk to it like you're talking to me. You can ask it questions and it will respond the way that I would. It's framed with 411,000 words of how I think on lots of different topics, to do with mindset, to do with travel, to do with anger, to do with relationships, to do with frustration, sadness, to do with a myriad of topics that I've documented over the years on my socials, on my website, on articles that have been written about me, and then an additional, number of words that have been written specifically for this to talk about specific mindset type topics. And I've written that, I've organized it, I've categorized it, I've cleaned it up. I've then trained that knowledge base and applied it to generative AI so that it then mimics how I talk. So if you talk to it, you can call it and just ask it a question and it will respond like me. Or you can write like you do with ChatGPT-4. Imagine ChatGPT-4, but it sounds like your mate. So it's trained like your mate, because I've basically taken something that's generative AI, which is incredible, genius technology. And I'm like, okay, I don't want the generic. I want how I think.
Yeah. So you can essentially dial in.
Yeah.
Hi, Dylan, it's Ian. Not in a good place right now. This is what's going on in my mind. Then it'll pause, it'll listen, it'll understand what you're asking. You're going to live demo it?
I can do, yeah.
Wow. On air, we're not now chopping off, we're not editing. I'm telling you, the cameras are rolling right now. This is in studio. Let's get this. Go on. So this is now AI Dylan.
How can I help?
Hi, I'm feeling low. I'm feeling down. It's 2:00 in the morning. I don't feel great. I'm having some really dark thoughts. Can you help me just in this moment?
Hey, I hear you. It's heavy right now, yeah? But you're not alone in this moment. Let's start small. Breathe in deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, and exhale slowly for 6. Do that a few times. It's 2 in the morning, but you've already taken a step by reaching out. That's strength. What's one thing, just one, you can do right now to feel even 1% better? Maybe grab some water or just sit with me here for a bit. You're not alone.
I still feel it really difficult to calm my mind. I understand about the breathing, but these voices just keep going round in my head telling me some really dark things.
I hear you. Those voices can feel relentless, but they're not you. They're just noise. Loud, yes, but not true. Try this. Place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat, and remind yourself, I am here. I am safe. I am in control. Say it out loud if you can. These thoughts might feel powerful, but they don't define you. You're stronger than them. Let's take this moment by moment together.
AI Dilan.
I've got to tell you, whilst I just listened to that, you talk about triggers and things. I took myself back to the 30-year-old version of Ian, and it was not good what was going in my mind, because I just wish. Because those that don't know my story, I attempted suicide, and I really had a serious attempt, and I'm very blessed to be here, because
Thank God it didn't work.
Thank you. Even the consultants who saved me don't know how I'm still here. I bolted back to life, and that's a whole other story, which I don't want to railroad Dylan's story. But as I'm listening to that, boy oh boy, because for me in that dark space, I had no one to turn to, or at least I didn't think I did. There's plenty of people that wanted to help me.
There are. Absolutely there are.
But at 2 a.m, you talk yourself out of it. What an incredible platform you've made, Dylan. This is going to help people and is helping people. And I need to tell you something. 100% that was not set up. 100%. we've got 2 studio engineers behind these cameras. They're open mouthed as much as I am, because Dylan has just literally, let's do it. It's not scripted. He hasn't asked anything there. He's just asked a random question. I could have asked it, but of course, we've got to pass the phone around and everything else. So, wow, man.
Thank you. That's the whole idea of it, was like, how can I help? Again, it goes back to what my socials are about. It's about how to help other people and the impact that you can have positively on other people, and how do you scale that, right? Because no one is available 24/7. And sometimes people don't want to talk to other people. Sometimes you just, especially blokes, you don't want to necessarily. And blokes,
some men don't know how to
correct.
as well. I mean, you've done, you're a smart guy. You've trained. So and some men don't know. I'm not being funny, but a lot of people said to me, "Just pull yourself together."
Yeah, for sure. And
man up. Fuck me, I hate that one.
Correct. Absolutely. And even, not just men, women as well. Like, some people just don't want to talk. They just want to I just want to hear something.
Old, anything in between, all cultures, all sexual preferences.
Correct.
If you're struggling, you're struggling.
Yeah.
And how cool would that be, that I could just dial in? I can dial in at any time, and I can get a comforting. And I love the bit where you say, "I'm still here. I can be with you. You're not alone." Because working with some charities that I work with, and I've interviewed CEO of Mentel, a men's mental health charity, and the co-founder. He doesn't like being called the CEO, but he is. Sitting in his forums with him, understanding men in particularly, a lot of men find it difficult to just say how they're feeling, and that is now a option, but it's real. It's actually, well, it's AI, but it's you. It's your thoughts. Right?
It mimics self, and that's the thing that I'm really interested in with AI. Like with anything, even social media, there's a really negative use to it, but there's also an incredibly positive side to it. And I don't think we've touched the sides with respect to how AI can help humankind. But certainly I think in molding it to mimic people who, or in a platform in a way that can help others or have a resource for others, understanding absolutely. And I say this, and I've said this for years, way before I even thought of AI Dilan, nothing replaces the human experience.
No, it
at
doesn't.
all.
It doesn't
at all. But, and I've said this for years as well, and AI won't replace humans. I don't believe that, for all the scaremongering that's out there. But I do believe this, and I do know this, and it's that humans that use AI will replace humans that don't, which is very different from AI replacing humans.
No, I hear that. That's a great point. A really powerful point. You obviously have taken this out into the commercial world. You've worked with some very, very notable people. You've taken 18.2 million words off of Adam Stott, for example. Are we allowed to mention that on air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 million words.
2, is it 2 million? Okay, so
we're going to get to 18 million. We've got to write a few more things.
Sorry, did I say 18? I meant 1.8. Sorry.
Right, yes.
Yeah, 2 million words. And of course, now that means that Adam can reach all the hundreds of thousands of people that he coaches, mentors, and gives them a better life, really, through what he does in his big business entrepreneurs, I think it's called, right? And it's incredible. Because again, you've taken one individual, can now reach hundreds of thousands, and they can dial into him. Adam, I've got this challenge with what I'm doing right now. He listens, he gives the advice.
Correct.
It's amazing. And now you're starting to work with other clients, yeah? And this is where you're going with this, because commercially, but you did mention to me that you hope to, because look, you've created something which needs to pay, not necessarily to give you an income, but just needs to be able to scale, and you only do that by revenue. But you are hoping that ultimately you can give this back into the community at a very low cost point, so that people can dial in. Can they do that now? Yeah,
you can subscribe. People can subscribe to AI Dilan right now.
Can they?
But I'm also, yeah, absolutely. So it is a subscription model as it stands. the version that you just heard is a beta version. It's actually AI Dilan 2.0. 1.0 is a paid one. This will move to a paid version very, very soon in the next probably couple of weeks or so. But right now it's a free link in bio, and I put it out there as a beta test.
Wow.
And so beyond that, now people are asking me about other different types of AI solutions for their businesses, and I'm now also expanding into that because I can see ways to be able to like embed AI solutions to help. Again, it's with the premise of helping people, and again, just extending the conversation on the use of AI. It's I genuinely believe the more I've been sort of reflecting and working with and talking about AI, and thinking about it just from a theoretical perspective and a real perspective, going forward, there's going to be two types of businesses in this world. There's going to be businesses that use AI in the bed of their operations of their companies to affect efficiencies and productivity. There'll be that type of business. And the other type of business will be businesses that are out of business.
Interesting. Yeah, it's an area that's got to be embraced for sure. I just thought of something as well, because I know you and I spoke about this when we met many weeks ago. People might listen to this and go, yeah, but I'm okay. I've not got any mental health issues. There's another piece of this, isn't there? Which I know is close to your heart. We don't have to go there, don't worry. But if somebody has, let's say, for me, okay, use it in my context, I would just love, because my mum passed away, my dad's passed away. I used to speak to my mum every day. I used to ring my dad very, very regularly. I can't hear their voice anymore. They can't talk to me anymore. How nice would it be, even though I know it wouldn't physically be mum, I get that, but I'd just love to hear her voice. I'd love to ring her and just say, Mum, how you doing? Oh, I'm all right, Ari. And, I've just had a nice, just for us to just,
Yeah.
And you're hoping to achieve that as well, aren't you? And actually you're getting a requirement for that, aren't you? Because, people are, I don't like to talk about death really, but imagine Ozzy Osbourne. If you'd have captured all of his, maybe it's still possible, I don't know. But,
it definitely is possible. There's no two ways about it. I mean, for sure. I mean, I want to AI my parents, for example, right? One day, thankfully they're still here and they are the be all and end all of my life. And without them, I'd be nowhere and nothing. But one day, reality of the matter is they'll be gone. And I don't like to say that, but
it's the truth.
It's a fact of life.
They'll be gone physically.
Yeah, they're gone physically. They're still. I genuinely believe we're still connected, right? We just move into another.
Me too.
We just don't know what that is in this world here, right now. So, I'd love to be able to like AI them, take their voices, how they think, and then be able to have a conversation with them, right?
Exactly.
Without a doubt, that's most definitely. That was the original next step for AI Dilan, was like to do it for like grandparents and parents, so that people could talk to their lost ones or their parents that have got deceased post, if they wanted that.
So look, your life's changed massively, hasn't it? You've gone from this, overweight, kind of negative thinking guy to buff, looking amazing, 440,000 followers on Insta, and your other social platforms, and then building this business now, and you're in a very good place. Very good place. Fair?
Yeah, it's
life's good. Yeah,
life is it's definitely positive. Why
do you do what you do? And you've answered some of that with the Dilan AI, but why do you keep on your social? Why do you keep yourself looking amazing? Why is it important to you, Dilan?
I think again through this conversation, I talk about impact.
You do
a lot, and then that's really important to me. And having impact and a positive impact, and having ways that maybe might help other people. If you happen upon realizing different ways to help yourself and different methods and different strategies, I don't believe that it's okay to just keep it to yourself. I believe it's important to share that with other people. And I believe that's the reason why those things have come to me for me to help me help myself, but then also to share with other people to maybe it might help them.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we're going to wrap in a moment. Can you share a piece of advice to our listeners or watchers on our YouTube channel if they're struggling right now, physically, mentally? Is there one thing that you would say to them that might help them?
Stop and focus on this moment now. Just focus on now, this very moment, and think of your breathing, to slow your breathing, calm your mind, realize that you're okay right here, right now. You're healthy, you're okay. And just focus on this moment and remind yourself that ultimately that's all you have. That's all we all have. So there's these voices in your head that are talking about the past or talking about this person or that person. There's worries about the future because you don't have, I don't know, you lost your job or you don't have money or you don't have this or that or that, or you feel you've got some medical issue, this, that, and the other, etc., whatever it might be. And the voices in your head are trying to railroad you. Stop all of that and just focus on this moment.
Thank you, Dilan. I've enjoyed this story. I've enjoyed my time with you. I hope you have as well, listeners, watchers. Check this guy out. You know, he's more than just a bit of eye candy on social media. He really is. He's a phenomenal human being, and he's here to help you. Thank you, Dilan.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.